Okay, finally time to start talking about the Dehya banners. Alright, for those of you who didn't know, the Dehya and Cyno banners came out today. 4 stars we get are Barbara, Collie, and Bennett. So, well, if you know, for those of you who didn't know, there's been quite a bit of drama in the community about Dehya, and I understand that they're about leaks, and they're unofficial, but we did kind of already see official footage about how Dehya works. We don't know the official numbers yet because the numbers that people are talking about in like their whole drama saga is based on leaks and it's unofficial. So I'm not going to take that into account. But people are saying that Dehya is one of the worst 5 stars ever. I do not want to give my opinion yet because MiHoYo has been this has been a trend that MiHoYo has been doing for a while now. That they release a very character, but then later down the line, a new character, a new element, a new game mechanic will somehow make that character so much better than it was on release. And I have no idea how Dehya works. I have no idea of her multipliers because I actively try to avoid leaks, and I've been pretty successful at doing that with Dehya, avoiding the leaks. So I am not going to give any of my opinion about how good or bad she is yet. Not gonna lie, if all you care about is how good she looks, wow, she looks good. Aesthetically, not her kit. Aesthetically, not her kit. This banner doesn't look good though, because so 2 of the 4 stars in there are 4 stars where you don't really need constellations, but everyone gets for free. I'm talking about Barbara and Collie. I forgot how you get Barbara for free. I think it's just getting to AR20. I don't remember. Or is it just completing... Oh no, I think it's just for completing a certain art conquest. I don't remember. But it's just you play the game, you get a free Barbara. And Collie, you get a free copy of her from... I believe it was I'm not sure if it was an event or if it was an art conquest, but you also get a free copy of Collie after completing floor 4 of Spiral Abyss, which you actually can complete like, fairly early on in the game. So if you don't want Dehya, the thing with Dehya too is they did announce officially in the 3.5 special program that Dehya is going to be a standard 5 star after 3.5. So after 3.5, if you lose 50-50 or you get a 5 star in the standard banner, there's a chance that it's going to be Dehya. So really, realistically speaking, the only reason why you might even be wishing on these banners would be, okay, if you want Cyno, or if you want to go for Bennett. The chances of getting Bennett are very low, because he's a 4 star. There's no guarantee for which 4 star you're gonna get. You might even get a 4 star weapon on the limited 5 star banner, right? So I know Bennett's very good, but Bennett alone, no matter how good Bennett is, I don't think he can carry the value of this banner alone. He just can't. Bennett has not decreased in value, in my opinion, at all. The only thing that has, I guess, happened. What happened, I guess, for a very long time, Bennett was kind of necessary for almost every team to make a team reach peak potential. But now with Dendro and a lot of other mechanics in the game too, like the Hydro Resonance and stuff like that, and even certain characters don't really care to have Bennett. So someone like Hu Tao doesn't. In fact, Hu Tao doesn't want Bennett because Hu Tao wants to stay under 50%. Hydro Resonance, like with Yelan doesn't even want attack. What else? Right? And now with Dendro like mostly doesn't even need Bennett to be good. So The only redeeming factor about these banners is the fact that Cyno, a limited 5-star, this is your only chance to get Cyno. If you really want to get Cyno, and Cyno's okay. Cyno's an okay 5-star. He's just not great. He looks cool though, is I'm gonna say. But as for his kit, he may as well be just better Brazier for what he is. He's not that great in Aggravate. He's okay. He's pretty good, right? You can clear content if you build him well enough, but then the amount of investment you put into him would be better off. Like you'd basically get a lot more in return if you put the same amount of investment in that you put into him to 36-star Abyss and to get through all the content in Genshin. If you put it into someone else, you would clear Spiral Abyss much faster or earlier than if you put it into him. If that's your only goal, is to clear all the content in Genshin, Cyno is not the one for you. But if you like his playstyle, consider building Razor. Especially if you're in a situation where, oh, I need my Primo Gems, Ayaka's there. Because let's talk about this then. Alright, Shenhe and Ayaka. Okay, like, Shenhe's not that important, but Ayaka is coming in the later half of 3.5. And Ayaka is one of the best DPSs. Like, she isn't like she isn't a character that when you get her on your account, you automatically win. Because there are still many situations where Ayaka is just not that great, or in fact even useless, especially if an Abyss is a cryo heavy, for example. So reason why I mention Abyss so much is because if your goal is to make your account stronger, at some point in mid game to end game, there's really nothing to do in Genshin, nowhere to take your characters to and test them out except for Spiral Abyss. So I'm gonna have to mention Spiral Abyss a lot. And if Abyss is heavy on cryo enemies, Ayaka kind of becomes useless. But if not, then she is one of the best DPSs in the game. Especially if you have certain characters that can support her very well. So an example of that would be Shenhe. So if you put the same amount of investment into Ayaka as with Cyno, you're gonna clear all the content in the game much faster and or earlier. So if that's your only goal, sure. But if you want to experience the Cyno playstyle, consider building Razor as an Electro Aggravate Hyperbloom carry. But it's up to you. If you really want Cyno, then we can't stop you. I don't even need to talk about this anymore. Moving on. Basically, TLDR, these banners, it's like they're trying to tell you indirectly, don't pull for this banner, pull for this banner. They even put the new 4-star and Mika. We're getting a new 4-star in 3.5. They put the new 4-star with the best cryo combo in the game. Although Mika isn't really a cryo support, at least from what we know of Mika. So basically, this banner is pull for Cyno if you really want him, and then stop. That's it. As for the weapon banners, I'm gonna say what I said in Discord earlier today. Yikes. That is not a great banner. These weapons are not terrible, by the way. Like, the polearm is actually okay. It's just that to fully maximize it, you either okay, you know what? Let's look it up. Let's look it up. I don't remember what Scarlet Sands does, but oh, you know what? Let's take a look at the Claymore first. So this is apparently, right? This is apparently Dia's, Claymore, right? Beacon of the Reed Sea. All right, sure. Okay, so average base attack, right? Average base attack for a 5-star, and at the same time average secondary stat, right? So it's not a high base attack, it's not a low base attack, it's average, and which is fine. Right, after elemental skill hits an opponent, attack will be increased by 20% for 8 seconds. After the character takes damage, their attack will be increased by 20% for 8 seconds. To mentioned, can trigger even without the when the character is not on the field. Additionally, when not protected by a shield, character's max HP will be increased by 32%. So for Dehya, perfect. All of this is like perfect for Dehya because it literally was designed for Dehya. I'm gonna assume that she has some sort of HP scaling because of, but just by looking at this, and it says here character takes damage, but then at the same time, even when the character is not on the field. So that, and if we look back onto the onto her kit here, it is mentioned that she has a form of damage mitigation in her kit where she will take, well, she'll basically share the damage that your on-field character takes. Which means, yeah, she takes damage even from off the field because she reduces the amount of damage that your on-field character takes by taking some of that damage for herself. So basically, this is going to be permanent uptime for this stack. As for skill, okay, so the skill hitting an opponent, she has a, like, her skill is a sort of pyro albedo flower is what I could see of it. So yeah, this is basically designed for Dehya, but it can be pretty decent for other characters too. Like I can imagine this doing pretty okay for Diluc, because you get a ton of attack from it. It's okay, but then like if you have Gravestone, I would recommend just sticking to Gravestone. This is not an upgrade over Gravestone for someone like Diluc, but if you're building Diluc and you're still forcing yourself to play him in 36-star Abyss with him, I mean, sure, you do. If your Diluc is strong enough that you don't have to rage just to 36-star Abyss, sure. But if not, then what are you doing with yourself? Don't, please. People love you, man. Don't do that to yourself. It's an okay Claymore. It's an okay stat stick is what it is. Crit rate, secondary stat, always love that. Attack, pretty universal. Only the HP one really. And the thing is, like, maybe potentially someday in the future we might get other characters where the passive might actually be quite usable on. But then that at that point you're pulling a weapon on the weapon banner over a speculation, which I really do not recommend, because getting weapons means you're just making characters stronger, but you're not really getting new gameplay, which sounds good in the early game, but even if you're in the early game now, at some point you're gonna reach mid game to end game, and at that point you're gonna regret deciding to make a character stronger instead of giving yourself new gameplay. Trust me, I'm an old player. I did the same exact thing, and now I'm regretting not wishing for certain characters to give myself new gameplay. So overall, it's an okay. It's not the worst 5-star ever, but I would say it's about on par as like Wolf's Gravestone, which looks good. Looks good on a lot of characters, but not game breaking for certain characters. They're not gonna make or break a character. We are going to get a free 4-star Claymore also in 3.5. Probably from one of the events. It's an EM. It's a high, it's a decently high base attack, 4-star, with a low-ish secondary stat EM. Within 8 seconds after the character's elemental skill hits an opponent, character triggers elemental reaction. Their attack elemental mastery will increase by, okay, what is this? Okay, this is R1. This is R1. Yeah, okay. Right, this is R1. Attack will increase by 12%. EM will increase by 48%. So if we take other like weapon and refinement trends, they're probably just gonna give us free R5 of this. Given that if we complete the event. So realistically, this might be what 24% attack and maybe like what 96 EM. An opponent. Wow. Okay, that's actually a pretty good weapon for Diluc. Okay, so reason why I keep mentioning Diluc is Diluc is one of the better, I guess, Claymore users in the game. It's pretty hard to make him viable in endgame now. He requires a lot of investment. Now, earlier I mentioned Cyno. The investment that you put into Cyno to get him to clear content is better off putting into other more meta characters, like I mentioned earlier, Ayaka. But it's much worse with Diluc. Yeah, much worse Diluc. But yeah, you could realistically, if like I said earlier, if you want the Cyno gameplay but you're in a situation where you don't have Primo Gems but you just want to experience the Cyno gameplay, just consider building Razor as an EM Razor for either Aggravate. Well, I wouldn't recommend him for Aggravate, but I would recommend him for Hyper Bloom. Full EM Razor, Hyper Bloom, and this weapon might actually be pretty good on him. So he doesn't really care about the attack in a Hyper Bloom team. He really only cares about the EM, and there are some cheaper and better options out there for EM, especially like some other claymores, like 3-star claymores even. But 96 EM plus 110 sounds like a good deal to me. Yeah. Although in Razor's case, you might have to keep characters trigger. Oh wow, you don't even need your skill to trigger the elemental reaction. It just means the character triggers the elemental reaction. So yeah, you don't even need to spam your skill. That's okay. That's actually a pretty good claymore. Not bad, not bad. Alright, so those are the new characters that we're getting, Mika and Dehya. So Mika being at least from what we could see from the 3.5 special program, he seemed to be on the surface, he seemed to be a character that might have gone really well with Eula. We don't know anything about his kit yet, other than what they said in the 3.5 special program. Him being a support and a healer. Yeah, that's it. And I really do not recommend wishing on these banners unless if you really want Cyno. Even if you want Bennett, that's a far stretch, man. You could spend tens of thousands of Primo Gems and not get a Bennett at all. So if your goal is Bennett, do not wish for these banners. If you don't want Dehya, if you don't want Cyno, don't wish for these banners. Alright, anyway, so especially because Ayaka, who is one of the most, I guess, successful DPSs in the game, there are, again, like I mentioned earlier, there are a few situations where you do not want, where Ayaka isn't as optimal, or is basically useless, especially in a cryo-heavy setup in Abyss. Yeah, so she's not a one-stop shop for just DPS, right? But she is very good if you're not, as long as you're not fighting cryo slimes. Right, she is one of the best DPS in the game, especially if you have the right supports for her. Like for example, you have Shenhe. Hey, you win, you win the game. That's it. All right, but other than that, there's also Rosaria, Diona. Oh, I almost forgot to mention this. It's a bit rough using Ayaka if you don't have an AoE off-field Hydro applier. So the 3 characters that I could think of that can fulfill that role are Kokomi, Mona, and even Nilou. Nilou being the least important, the least valuable of those 3, because Nilou is a sword user, so she can't use TTDS, which you can use to give Ayaka an insane attack buff. So realistically speaking, you would prefer to be using Mona or Kokomi with Ayaka. While realistically speaking, you could use Xingqiu or Yelan for freeze, but that means you'd only be freezing like 1 or 2 enemies that are right in front of you, the ones that you're attacking. So ideally, it would be Kokomi or Mona. And if you don't have either, you're not going to feel as significant of an upgrade to your account until you get one of those 2. But since Ayaka's here already, I would rather recommend saving your Primo Gems in the first half of 3.5 and going for Ayaka. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We're getting a new Archon quest, the story quest 3.5, hangout and new enemies too. Pretty excited about the new Abyss Herald. Yeah, the Cryo Herald. I'm not looking forward to this guy. Like, so the Black Serpent Knight enemies are kind of annoying. But hey, new enemy, new stuff to do. Sure, great, we love it. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. These banners are not great, but they're yeah, they probably one of the worst banner setups we've ever had in Genshin. Yeah, save your primos, get Ayaka, or if you don't, if you already have Ayaka, like I would strongly consider Shenhe. You know, because she has really good synergy with Ayaka. And definitely only talking about her synergy with Ayaka, and definitely not because of how good she looks. Although she also looks good, like really, really good. I'm gonna end the video here. All right, thanks for watching, guys. See ya, and wish you luck on your pulls.